What was used to kill Hifumi? Was it Justice Hammer 3?
No.
Maybe Justice Hammer 4?
Well, whatever it was, there's one thing we have to figure out. How was the culprit able to move around so freely with the weapon?
Because it was in the room.
How did nobody witness them carrying it? Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info!
Alright.
Well, one thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the Justice Hammers! And...
No, it's wrong.
Got it right! I got it right! Oh, I'm so happy about that. You don't have any idea.
The murder weapon wasn't a Justice Hammer at all. No, it was something completely different.
Yes, exactly the same.
seriously? A different weapon?
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. The killer could have easily used that to kill Hifumi.
Yeah.
Now, all the hammers in the repository were covered in flecks of grit and debris.
Uh-huh.
But for some reason, one of them had been scrubbed clean. And the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder. If the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of course they'd have to clean it off.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers. Big ones, small ones, and even some flat mallet-like ones. I think whoever made the Justice Hammers used those as a basis for their design.
Yeah. In fact, I think that actually
If
they
that's
just took
true,
those and painted
that
them.
would explain the Monokuma Files note about the wounds being similar.
Yes.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository, where someone then used the hammer to kill him.
Whoever did that is the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with. And the one who betrayed him. Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him. The way the graduation rule works, there is no benefit to helping someone else carry out a murder. So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not?
The reason we'll get at least through thought first, but why spot this hammer again?
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder,
The only person who did the actual murder.
only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
That's the one I need, and then I just fire at the impossible, and then that should be it.
Even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and
I
survive.
got an achievement.
Assuming the rule holds true.
No, it's wrong.
Yeah! Did it! Get better at this.
Since there were two murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering. Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Yes.
Risk versus reward benefit?
Basically, the reward outweighs the risk.
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in a scheme. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you.
Yes.
However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
Yes.
You're saying that two people could act as each other's accomplices to commit two separate murders.
Yep.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime, and based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka.
And then the other person would then act, meaning there'd be two murders with a different killer, which means that even though there would be accomplices, but that still means that only one person would graduate.
They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone. creating two separate incidents. And it only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies.
All very intricate.
By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice. Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
Ouch.
That's just awful. How could anyone be so cruel?
Well, I know who it actually
You think
is.
so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems odd.
Not necessarily because they got Hifumi to murder Taka. At the beginning, just why she said not to look at Sue's connected friends, but entirely separate friends. It's amazing, although she's almost too amazing. And it's also natural how good she is.
I understand how an accomplice could be involved. But then, who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
That's problem numero uno right now.
Her actions in the end murdered him. But it's, you know, in this case in full, when you consider all that, there's only one person who seems fit. Oh god, I have to select someone? I doubt it'd be Sakura. Because also she was with us, so it can't be Sakura, or Kyoko, or Hina. Which means that it's either Hiro, but he said he was knocked out, and I believe him. Byakuya, Celeste, or Genocide Jill. Byakuya, I don't think, would do any of this, because he's the one who's helping me uncover all of this. And she's just useless.
Here's my answer.
Because she's the one getting in the way of the investigation at
With
the moment.
Celeste.
So I'm the suspicious individual now, am I?
You're the heart of everything right now.
I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder.
Oh, Byakuya's on my side here.
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi. The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him, that I would go within 10 feet of that shit-brain-fat, lazy, worthless goddamn idiot! Pardon-moi.
Just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
That's in common. Encountering the suspicious individual. Yeah.
I got it!
I'm back up to full
The
hearts.
behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush. The adults are talking now.
Hey, shut up.
Sorry.
As he
Dick.
said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual.
True.
If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
True.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct? And not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said?
Shows. Yeah. She was misleading us the
We headed
entire
to the second
time.
floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen. Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor,
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
and when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said?
What's wrong? So, change costume man, he ran up as soon as the screen blocked the stairs, he ran filled down the hallway and disappeared.
Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
Oh. Bin Hifumi.
It was to get us to divide into two groups. So that we would discover both bodies at the same time?
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up.
I knew it.
Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected?
She's been acting suspicious from the beginning.
And on top of that, that piercing cry of yours early on. That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it? It was your way of telling him, we're on the 3rd floor, everything's going according to plan. Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
I just realized another strange thing.
Oh?
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead,
Speculation how much the Hifumi would be murdered.
Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered. You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our minds.
And Celeste got Hina to leave.
I don't believe it. Everything, the whole thing was one big act.
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was feeling kind of sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom. Wait! Then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
I have no idea what you mean.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one fatal mistake.
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it, but looking back, I can say that that one little slip-up was your undoing.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
Oh. Trying to standing around, frankly confused. We're going to die here. We're going to die just like those guys died.
I remember her saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body in the equipment room. Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed. So Sakura and I left with Makoto. Once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the 4 of us headed to the nurse's office. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead. Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Damn!
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
It means she knew Taka was dead before being told.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
It says room 2.
All I said was... They must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it, what was so strange about Celeste's comment?
Strange is, so that's the one I need. It's so strange.
They must really be enjoying this.
Hopefully.
Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like
Those guys.
No, it's wrong.
Because she should have only known about one of them. And that's where the contradiction comes
That's
in.
right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died. When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all out in the hall.
She couldn't have seen the
There was
body
never
either.
any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
Damn.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both guys? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
Atoko was not there as well.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Imaginations.
You claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw. Then what about the picture I took?
Well, if we know that
How
Hifumi's
do you
in it,
explain this
I'm
picture
honest.
of the costumed villain dragging Hifumi away?
It has to be some kind of setup, right?
Yes, it is.
So let's put the suit on. And then she used the camera's timer to set up the picture.
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into that suit.
Yes.
Plus, I happen to know that this particular camera does not have a timer.
Yes.
In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away.
Not necessarily, because Hifumi was in on it.
If everything I told you was a lie, how can this picture exist?
He was simply
Simple.
carrying it.
Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
What could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one you've offered up.
Yeah.
No, there is no other explanation.
No, I think there is. Explanations. Turned away. Possibility is... Hifumi and the suspect have been doing. Hifumi is dragging the suspect away.
I got it! It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
Oh.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit. We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around.
Yeah.
And the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther.
I'd say so.
If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation, of course you'd notice and be suspicious.
Yeah.
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Such a thing is utterly impossible.
And why is that?
Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
So much proof there's no way. Really possible? Robot Justice Blueprints, okay. Let's see
You
here.
dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that. Then the fortune-telling idiot is the culprit after all!
No way!
He says.
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my
Yeah,
weight!
that's the one that.
You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Am I supposed to get this extra
Like
time?
I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight.
Actually, they're forced to stand up straight because of the costume. Getting good at this. Finally getting good at this.
Even if the person inside the suit
I think I was
were
rushing too
unconscious,
much earlier.
they could still stand up like that. Because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
Stop, like, bouncing around it. We're out the ways. Yeah.
That's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
Oh, Celeste.
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
Damn.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate?
Don't make me laugh, you idiot!
What do you mean, checkmate?
Where's the accent gone?
Celeste? Clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one little problem. Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying?
Kill me, I remember the name. Yasuhiro.
When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was quite clear, was it not? He said, and I quote, Yasuhiro. In other words, Yasuhiro Hagakure!
Right, but my name isn't really Yasuhiro. It's actually Taro.
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
He did say Yasuhiro. But are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to us. How did he refer to each of us?
People's last names?
I got it! That's right! Our last names! He called us all by our last
Thank
names!
God I guessed that one.
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental. By chance, his first name. Indecent?
Don't talk.
Oh.
Random chance. Now isn't that a convenient explanation? No. There's no reason to think he would have said the name any different than normal.
Yeah.
But he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But the name he said doesn't apply to anyone here.
Well, no. Hold on. There's one person it could apply to, and that's Celeste. She never actually told us what her real name is.
What did you just say? To think you'd take your false accusation so far, I don't know whether to laugh or spit! Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather! Yasuhiro is a loser's name! Do I look like a loser to you?
Right now we do, yes.
Well, do I? What? I think I've earned the right to be a little on edge.
Okay, then fill us in. What's your real name?
Make sure your ear holes are wide open and listen up! My real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
I highly doubt. This would make her accept it.